Today we have a 911. And what kind of 911 you probably already saw in the title. For this we have to do many little things to it, like the wheels, like the interior, the paint, but also, very important, the underbody. It has never been cleaned so far as I saw, so we're gonna put now the car on the lift and see how a 911 underbody looks like. After, I believe this one has 90,000 kilometers on the clock, so for a 911 it is not that much, but I believe it has never been cleaned. So let's see how that looks like. The car is on the lift now, and this is how your 993 looks like after 90,000 kilometers without any cleaning. We are now going to remove everything, all the plates, all the wheels, and clean it. And then we see what we have. So let's go. I don't know if we can take you on the whole journey since it is very busy. We will see, but at least we're going to show you how we're going to protect it and see the end. So the goal here with the 993 is to clean the underbody up. So we're not going to crazy detail the underbody, as you can see. However, we have to protect it, and we are using a wax that's a little bit of beige color. And you see us using also quite often a clear wax. And that's maybe cooler looking, especially with aluminium. However, this brownish wax is factory. And we match the factory color of the wax they used, and this is the correct color. However, it doesn't maybe look that nice as a clear one. So what would you choose? Would you go for a clear wax or for the original beige one? probably many of you maybe already know is this: the 993 is the last air-cooled 911 built, and therefore this car is very collectible. It's not only just a normal 993, it is actually a 4S, which you already know, and it's actually recognizable on the body, because this body is the same as a 993 Turbo, has wider fenders front and back. But the difference, 993 Turbo has a massive spoiler in the back. This one doesn't, and therefore it looks like it is much wider, in fact. And that's what I really like about the 993 4S. Also, the 996 4S has the same, looks wider than a 996 Turbo. And this is the same with this. That's mainly, I guess, because it hasn't any big spoiler. We see here also the 4S logo. And for me, the 4S 993 in this color is an absolute gem. I really love it. Really amazing to work on. And so let's move on to the paint correction. We are going to treat the plastics of the engine bay with this dressing, this plastic and tire dressing, and that makes the plastic make a little bit of a deeper shine, a deeper black look to it. However, what I want to tell you is that it is very important to look out for what's on the bottle, since it is very flammable sometimes. This is very safe for your engine bay, it's water-based, but sometimes those plastic tire dressings or plastic dressings are very flammable and not really safe to use in your engine bay. So really look out for that. This one is safe. If you want that, look in our shop in the link down below. So a few videos ago, we already detailed a 993 Targa, and that one was one of the last 993s. So the VarioRam engine. And we have again here a VarioRam. And you can spot that on the intake. If you do not have a VarioRam engine, also some difference in horsepower. So this one has 285 brake horsepower. And if you have the earlier 993, you have 272 brake horsepower. So for the people that do not know anything about Porsche 911 engines, let's do a little bit of a dummy overview what we actually have. First of all, we have an air-cooled engine. So very important to know, this one is air-cooled, and therefore we have this propeller, and this will cool your engine. So very important. It is operated by these belts over here. They can snap or turn over this pulley. Then your engine will not be cooled anymore. So very important to check that. Also here we have the intake. So what we discussed just before, if you have the VarioRam engine, you have this air intake. And then we have here the air conditioning pump with the lines, also operated by a belt by the same pulley down there. Then Then here we have the oil filler cap, so you can fill up your oil up here. The older models actually, you could also check your level down here. You had this down there in the older 911 models from the 80s and the 70s. So the 964, 993 have it up there. So here you have to check your oil level. Very important actually, if you want to check your oil level, the engine has to run and has to be on temperature. So you can't check your oil level when the engine is cold and it's not running. So very important to know, because it happens quite often that people fill up too much oil because they checked it without a running engine and without having temperature in it. So very important to know. Down here we have the power steering and the filter for your petrol up here, the silver one. And then here we have your airbox. So you can unplug these, and then down there and down there are a few as well, and then you can take this off and change your air filter. It's a bit of a struggle, but possible. But what is an even bigger struggle is changing the spark plugs, because these are deep down there, and Porsche even says that you actually have to take the engine out to change them. That's not really necessary, but it's a very, very big trouble. You need very thin hands to reach those spark plugs back up there. So if you look down there, you see the spark plugs, and we actually have 12 of these. And you maybe think, why 12? Because we only have 6 cylinders. But this car has 2 spark plugs per cylinder. So therefore also 12 spark plugs wires. So very expensive. If you want to change your spark plugs, you need double. So this with 964s and 93 the case. So this was a little bit of an overview of this engine, the most important bits I think. So let's check in on the car. So the interior is finished. We completely detailed the interior and the leather as well. It came out very, very nice. The leather is in very good condition still. It is very original. The car only also has, I believe, 92,000 kilometers on the clock, so that's not much. So the condition is comparable to the mileage, and I really like this leather. It also really smells like a Porsche 993. That maybe sounds a bit funny, but they have a particular smell to it. It's hard to transfer the smell from a car over video, so it's a really typical Porsche smell, and I really like that. So this one is finished from the inside. I just started this 993 and you hear, I don't know if you can hear, but it sounds like water in the back. But that is actually oil that's running from the pipes to the front of the oil cooler. A question I was getting quite often. People were stressing about what's this noise. But this is really the oil coming from the back to the front. I will be quiet, maybe you do hear. But again, a very beautiful 993. Original radio is still in it, air conditioning. We have here wiper blades from the back and the rooftop to open, but also the back spoiler, which you can open manually as well. It's also going automatically at a certain speed, but you can also open it manually with this button. And cool thing is these window switches. These are basically the same of these older 911s. The older years, they still use these 911 old classic switches. Very cool detail. Steering wheel, you also see that still in the first generation 996. For this car it was a very new steering wheel. So that's a little bit of the overview of the 993 from the inside. Also the opening of the doors is kind of the same spot as these older 911s are. So that's it. Thank you for watching again of this amazing 993 video. I really enjoyed detailing this car. Hope to see you next time for our next cool project.